Today, companies gather an overwhelming amount of information every single day, from website clicks to support tickets to audio transcripts. But having a lot of data doesn't automatically create value. Imagine having millions of photos on your computer, but no folders, no names, no dates, no tags, no nothing. You have the content, but you can't do anything useful with it. So, in the real world, businesses face the similar problem. So, data becomes useful only when we have context around it. You know, we need to know things like what does this data represent? Where did this data come from? This data is even reliable or not? And how can I use this data? How it can be useful? So, all this contextual information comes from metadata, which acts like the instructions, the labels, and the meaning behind the raw data. So, what is data? Data is raw, unprocessed facts and figures. Data is the content itself. Uh, we can categorize data into three different types, basically structured, unstructured, and semi structured. Structured is a very tidy data. You can think spreadsheets or database tables where every value has a clear place of its own. And then data can be unstructured, it can be messy, like emails, screenshots, chats, things that don't nicely fit into tables. All that can be covered under unstructured data. And then we have semi structured data, which is a mix. So it isn't a table, but it is not that unstructured. We can structure it around certain tags in certain formats like JSON or XML. But why this data is challenging? Because right now there are so many things are happening around us and so many technological advancement happening. We are collecting more data than ever before, and we are paying huge cost to store that data, and data can be sensitive. It can create security risk. Data can be duplicate, which can create confusion, and so much data around us that people don't seem to find what they need always. So despite all the chaos, AI cannot function without data, right? AI systems learns patterns, make prediction, automate tasks based on the data they receive. So data is powerful, but it can only be powerful if we can understand how to organize it properly. So that's where metadata comes in. Metadata is information about data. It tells us what data means, how it is organized, and how to work with it. Metadata can be a description, set of rules. It can define the relationships between the data. So there can be several types of metadata. Metadata can be descriptive, which can help us to identify or classify the content. Example: date taken, location, uh, you know certain fields. And then data can be structured, which can show us how the different pieces of data fit together. Without structural metadata, everything is disconnected. And then we can have administrative metadata, which is behind the scenes management. It is behind the scenes information like access permissions, version history, copyright or licensing info. Administrative metadata helps keep data secure and compliant. Now let's see what are the key differences between data and metadata. Data is the content. For example, if we are sending an email, data can be the email text. But metadata is the context of that email. Like who sent the email, who is the receiver, when that email was sent, what is the subject line. So data gives us the raw information, but metadata tells us what that information means and how to use that info. And data can be messy, it can be raw, but metadata is always structured because it organizes things. And if we talk about visibility, users see data, but users don't always see the metadata because it operates in the background. Uh, Certain admins can have access to the configuration of the metadata, but generally, not all users see the metadata. And if we talk about storage, data goes into databases, but metadata is stored in schemas, it can be embedded in certain files. So, in short, data is the raw fact, it is the raw information, but metadata tells you why that info matters, it gives you the context. So, in Salesforce, uh, metadata provides the context of all the data which is stored in Salesforce. Like if we talk about account record, so fields on that account object are metadata. It can describe like what kind of account details can be stored, like account name, industry, uh, and page layouts can also be the metadata because it can describe how the UI of that account record looks to the end user. So in Salesforce, all these metadata can be categorized into three major categories: data, programmability, and presentation. Under data, we can define metadata which uh, like what your org can store, like objects, fields, picklist values, apps, uh, so that we know what an opportunity or lead or account even look like. And then we can have certain metadata under programmability which tells Salesforce how to behave. Under programmability, these metadata can automate tasks, they can enforce certain rules, it can add custom logic like flows, classes, and triggers. And then we can have presentation metadata which defines the user experience, it defines how things look on the UI, like lightning pages, page layouts, visual force pages, LWC components. So this is what end users actually see and interact with. It's all about presentation metadata. So in Salesforce, data is what's stored, but metadata is everything that defines how the data behaves and looks like. And so many things are happening right now in the, in AI and analytics. For AI, we just don't need data, but we need clean, organized, contextualized data, you know. So, metadata gives AI the meaning, structure, intent, relationships between the data. So, it is very important. Uh, so, data is the raw facts, but metadata is the actual, uh, key behind what makes the data useful. Without metadata, data is confusing and AI can make wrong assumptions, and our system can behave unpredictably. But using metadata, our data becomes searchable, you know, it become customizable, and businesses can behave more efficiently. So data metadata is what it transforms that data into knowledge.